Black who's going to go for it. Black for the 1 point to win the grand final for Halifax, and he's done it. Ben Black strike.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Talking the Facts of Life, sponsored by the amazing EclipseEnergy.co.uk.
Energy!
If you need your home heating this winter, all that sort of stuff, give the boys a bell, give them a message, EclipseEnergy.co.uk, and they will heat your home right. As always, my name is Mike Haig, and joining me, as always, is producer, tech aficionado, friend and fan, always has to get a fan in, Mr. Rick Farrell.
Evening.
Rick, are you well?
I'm good, mate. Are you?
I thought you were. I'm good. I'm very good. It's getting nights are drawing in. I'm working from home, looking across and that night sky, but we've got some illuminating rugby chat to be getting on to with a special guest in the second half in Kara Colvin from the Halifax Women's team. Before then, we've got lots of Halifax chat, so let's get straight into it. So, another podcast and another new signing, well, loads of new signings. It's like a whole new team that's coming on. And straight off the bat, Gadwin Springer. Literally, as we were recording the other podcast, it got announced. So it's weird that we finish a podcast and then we look and it's like, oh, great, we could have mentioned him then, but we're mentioning him now. And what a signing! What a great player! He's actually played for us before as Gadwin Springer, 100% record. Hopefully, carries it on into the new season. Class signing, absolute class signing. I can see him nodding away, Rick. What a signing he is.
Yeah, he's a proven Super League player that's had a big impact everywhere he's gone. If that's the sort of player we can attract, then I think it's just positive times ahead. If you look at the highlights package, he's not only is he a big, packing a punch forward like we've kind of needed for a few years. He's got footwork, he's got hands, he's got an engine, he's got good defence. He's the kind of player that you can build a pack around. So, I mean, congratulations to Grixie and Crowley getting this over the line, because I don't think anyone saw this one coming.
No, not at all. And it's another one from the mighty Toronto Woolpack. And as I'm doing paying tribute with my T-shirt tonight, and I know Greg Worthington mentioned on one of his interviews that he played a little bit of a part to get him in, and what a part it is, because I think one of the criticism, well, some of the noise we've been hearing from fans is that the signings that we've made in terms of the pack have been really good, but we're missing a big unit, like kind of an enforcer, really. And Gadwin definitely fits the mould. And again, like we've mentioned with Kevin Leroy previously, in terms of the French team, it would be great for him to have another Frenchman there, but also World Cup year coming up, it would be a fantastic showcase for him to get in that team, really. But obviously it's another big lad for Grix to build his pack around, and Super League experience in the Championship is massive.
Absolutely, and we've lost two big forwards as well, with Keegan Hurst and Dan Fleming obviously leaving and going off to do their own thing, and then you always think, oh, what we're going to get as a replacement. And I think, no offence to the other two lads, but it's definitely an improvement on what we've had in recent years. So if you can do that for every position, if you can replace and improve, then your team can only get better on the field. So yeah, I can't wait to see him playing, and let's see if those two French boys can bring a bit of the flavour of the continent with them,
Exactly.
A bit of vavavoom, as they say.
Je ne sais quoi. I wouldn't necessarily say a Gallic flair, because I don't think there's anything flair about Leroy or Springer, but I'm sure there'll be crowd favourites on the terraces. And,
c'est magnifique.
Yeah, there we go. But, see, we're an educational podcast, not just educated about rugby league. We're a language podcast, and I don't know any more French, even though I've been to Toulouse a few times. I just don't know un bière, s'il vous plaît.
We're not educated, we're educational. There's a difference.
Definitely. And along comes one prop. You buy one, you get one. Well, not buy one, get one free, but two come at once. And Dan Murray, another kind of old new face, but again, class Super League player. And again, big coup for us to get. I know that my dad absolutely loves the bloke. I had to actually ring him up and goes, guess who we signed your favourite Super League player? And he goes, Dan Murray? I'm like, yep. And yeah, I did not see that one coming. Like the Springer signing, I did not see that one coming. I've always wanted to see him back in Halifax shirt, and my God, our pack is looking good next year.
Absolutely, mate. Like you say, when he came on two occasions, didn't he? Previously, he played in a couple of games in the I think he played in the Bulls game in the famous run to the eights that we had that year, and then obviously helped us make it the year after on loan. So the thing that stood out for me was when you watch his interviews after he'd signed, is the positivity that comes out of the man, and what his thoughts of, you know, we must have made an impression on him when he was on loan, because he said once Halifax came in for him, he weren't even considering going anywhere else. Proven Super League forward, another big lad. He's a bit of a, I won't say gentle, but he's a bit of a giant, isn't he? You know, he's a bit of a down-to-earth kind of character. He's the kind of guy that you want in your pack. You don't want them all to be snarling lunatics. You want one to be have a bit more guile, so to speak. But another player with good footwork and good hands at the line, which is something that, as we've seen in previous years with players like Mitch Carlane and Adam Tangata, when you've got big lads in the middle that can you know, have ball playing skills, it opens up a whole other sort of attacking option for you. So again, like for like replacement, is it? No, it's an improvement again on what we've had before. And again, to Crony and Gritchy to have the you know, the ambition to go after players like Dan Murray. Yeah, I'm really pleased.
That for sure, and I completely agree with everything that you're saying. It does the basics really, really effectively. What you want from a prop forward, you want him to make yards, get a quick play of the ball, possibly bust the line with an offload, make his tackles, and Dan Murray does that brilliantly. And there's not, as I say, he's not a blockbuster forward or anything like that. He's not going to grab the headlines, but he strikes me as being a player's player. A player that the players want alongside them in the trenches, and they're my kind of players. Obviously, we love the flashy halfbacks and the wingers and fullbacks who finish off tries and whatnot, but without the work that the likes of Dan Murray, Gadwin Springer, those sort of players do, they can't shine. And we've missed that punch up front a bit. Fleming and Hurst, good players on the day, but again, advancing years, we've had the best of the best years behind them. Murray and Springer, they're in the prime of their careers, and it shows the steps that we are taking to be able to, like you say, Eric, first attract these sort of players, because no doubt they'll have had Super League interest. Gadwin Springer, he's a French international. He's a larger than life player, larger than life character. He's bound to have Super League interest. And Dan Murray is impressed at OKR when he's been there. And I'm surprised that Super League clubs weren't in. Well, A, didn't catch him, and B, if they were interested in him, he's come to Halifax, and we're seeing more and more of those players to kind of branch out a little bit. We're seeing more Super League quality players going down to the Championship because of the security that it may well give, because of the way the world's been like the last 8 months or so. It's reevaluated, not just the kind of normal run-of-the-mill 9-to-5 job, those sort of things, in terms of work-life balance and job security. End of the day, rugby league players, their job, it's the money they get paid for, and we're seeing more and more people dropping down to the Championship to either get a full-time deal, if they can, with the likes of Lee or Toulouse or whoever, but at a part-time team where they get a career on the side as well. And to kind of segue a little bit, and I put it on the social media, the interview that Ian Crowe did on the 40-20 podcast, which is a really, really good interview that he did. He mentioned the likes of Brandon Moore, for instance. We all know Brandon Moore is a Super League player. His Super League class is absolute quality. Oh, yeah. He probably earns more in terms of the job that he does up on roofs and climbing here, there and everywhere, alongside playing for Halifax. He's got that job security there, and it's great to see that I think you mentioned last time on the podcast, Rick, that the gulf between Championship and Super League is big, but given the next season, I think it'll be very, very close. And I don't know, I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I don't know how the Challenge Cup's going to work, but I genuinely think if there are top-end Championship clubs against Super League clubs, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some shocks there. There's some upsets and Championship teams turning Super League teams over.
I think what I actually said, not to call you getting your quotes wrong or anything, but that the gap is actually closing between Super League and Championship rather than it being a big gap.
I stand corrected.
I think that these guys coming in have seen that going to a championship club isn't just seen as a step down. Again, Dan in his interview did say he doesn't see it as a step down. Because the standard isn't too much different. To me, these sorts of signings are a real sort of vindication to the board for the decision to hire Simon Griggs in the first place. Because as you've seen, all the guys that have signed so far, they're all saying they wanted to come in and play for Griggsy. What Griggsy was selling to them was, so it seems like Griggsy's got a plan. He's really respected. That's been proven now, and it's a real coup for the board that they've put the faith in Simon to build a team. They've given him the funds to do it. And, well, the proof's in the pudding, isn't it? But I just want, you mentioned Brandon Moore. I tell you, one thing I love about these signs, I can't wait to see our front row next year, because you'll have two prop fours and then you have Brandon Moore in the middle.
I just can't wait for Brandon Moore getting quick play the ball, quick dummy half runs off the back of Murray, Springer, Morris, those sort of players. And I can't wait for that. It's so exciting. And you mentioned about Griggsy in terms of people want to play for him. The interviews that he does, you can tell that he's so passionate and determined about it. He might not be the most kind of over the top charismatic person to interview in that, but you listen to what he says and you can tell that he's got that passion and authority in his voice to be able to coach that team and get some out of him. You could say he's kind of like the final piece of jigsaw we'd be looking at, and certainly in terms of the signings, the final piece of the jigsaw is the most shocking signing of the lockdown. Perhaps you could have knocked me down with a feather when this was announced. Liam Harris from Hull. Half-back, the worst kept secret in rugby league, finally confirmed, teased on the video that was released by the club, which is very, 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 very good marketing. I must admit, I like that little bit of a surprise. But yeah, class player, and so not necessarily seen too much of him in the flesh and that, but his stats when he played for York, and when he played for York, he played alongside Connor Robinson, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
And if and I know that Connor Robinson in the last couple of days has released a video saying about how far back they actually go, him in Liam Harris, and if they can click on the back of the pack that we could have, then it's just so exciting.
It's a really, really good signing for us. In fact, it's probably the biggest signing out of all of them that we've made. I mean, he was really highly rated at Hull. I spoke to a few people saying that he probably would have got a game for Hull this year had it not been for a few sort of administrative reasons that meant that, for whatever reason they couldn't play him. But Andy Lash really wanted to play him at Hull, and for a player of that calibre to drop down and everyone I speak to is just saying that this kid has got it. He could be the next big thing. So to have him doing it in a Fax shirt is fantastic. I can't wait to see him in action. Coming back to the partnership with Connor Robinson, Robbo was telling us that they've actually played together since the academy days, since the Hull academy days of 16, 17-year-old or whatever they were. And he said that combination they've got is just so natural. And again, it allows us to, rather than chucking two halfbacks that we kind of think might work together based on styles, well, you've got 7 or 8, 10 years worth of proof between the two of them, having played together at all these different teams. So, yeah, it's a really good signing for me. It's got a bit of pace, and apparently, according to all the sources I've talked to, he's a little cheeky bugger as well. So, replacing Morel with another one, you can't go amiss, can you?
Yeah, and no disrespect to Morel, looking at the highlights that were released, he's quick, and the one thing that we've missed from an halfback in recent years is out and out pace. Yeah, Jono was quick, and his nickname Jinky Johnston. He could get through the line and stuff like that. But in terms of that out and out pace of making a break and stuff like that, Harry seems to have that in bucket loads, and kind of Sean Long-esque, if I don't want to put too much pressure on the lad, but looking back, early Sean Long, before he grew his dreadlocks and all that sort of jazz, when you used to see him just take the line on and run through, it just reminded me of that. And if he's half the player that Sean Long was, then we've got a very, very special talent in our hands. And it's like a recurring theme this week of players who say dropping down a level, but it's not necessarily dropping down, it's just going to another team, really. It's a weird one, but we're quietly going about our business very, very well. And so when you look at the team, I haven't dared to put a 117 out yet because I would get far too excited, and there's so many months to go before the season could realistically start. But if I was to hazard to do that, it would be a really, really strong side.
Could be more signings to come in yet. You never know.
Well, they could, and there has been one more that's been announced, who might not necessarily make it into the 17, but it is a squad game, and we need players in that respect. And it's young Mentibs from Huddersfield. Again, it's utilising the partnership that we had, not just in terms of the dual reg that they had, but in terms of Scott Grix doing the coaching over there, and he, for all intents and purposes, he's a player that he really admired when he was there, and then because Huddersfield having to cut the cloth accordingly, and because there's no reserve grade and that sort of thing, he finds himself to Halifax. And again, you need, at the very, very least, you need cover for positions. And Grixie said in his interview that he's got a way to go. Yeah, he's going to be playing against men, that sort of thing. But you need cover for players, and it's an exciting sign. And again, it's a player that wants to come to us. He may well have had interest elsewhere in Super League, or possibly the likes of a Lee or a Featherstone offering that full-time route. But no, he's come to Halifax, and fair play to him.
Yeah, Huddersfield's Academy's got quite a good reputation for producing players for first-team Super League spots. So, yeah, I think he'll have had some good training over there. I think Luke Robinson might have been his coach, along with Scott Grix and all that sort of stuff. So there's a couple of links there. But, yeah, like you say, he's a young lad, come from the academy, played a bit of reserve grade. That's not on the table now. And he's got a chance to come over. And like I say, you never know. He's a young lad with ambition. He might play himself into a spot, but you know, the last player that we had that came sort of under these circumstances, you know, from a Huddersfield academy and into a championship team was a bit of an unknown, and turned out to be absolutely integral part of our whole team was Elliot Morris. Yeah. So if he can have any kind of trajectory like his, then I think it's a really good sign. I don't expect him to play much. You know, he might find himself on dual reg and all that sort of stuff. But he's got a chance to prove himself in pre-season, and like I say, if you're good enough, you're old enough, and we'll see.
Exactly. I can go a little bit further back than that in terms of a young lad who came out of Warrington Academy, and they didn't rate him and didn't get into reserve team. Had a squad number of 20 because he thought he was going to be a cover player, a young player called James Saltonstall. Look what happened to him. So anything could happen, as I say, and if he's a cover player or a squad player at the start, if you get a couple of injuries and you get a running games together, then sky could be the limit. And if he's got the right attitude, you don't, as you mentioned, Huddersfield Academy's got a really, really good reputation. You don't get into the Huddersfield Academy just on name alone. You don't just give out tickets to it. You earn your right to be part of that. If Huddersfield had a reserve grade still, or if the game was still structured in a particular way, it'd probably still be there. It'd probably go into dual reg partner, which may well have been us, but we find him on a permanent deal. He may well have Super League clause. We don't know that the ins and outs of the deal, but it's another player who's come from a Super League club who's chosen to come to Halifax, which is a really, really good coup. And Simon Grix and Ian Crone must have very, very good negotiation tactics to try and get. Did they get locked in a room with Simon Grix? I'm not letting you leave until you sign that paper.
Like I say, I think it's more what Grix is selling than how much he's selling it for. I think he just seems to have this knack. Like I've said it many a times, I've learnt more about the game speaking to Grixie for 15 minutes than I did watching for 25 years. So there's something to it. Whatever he's selling to these players, it's getting them excited, because everything that's coming out of the club at the minute is just positivity. It's been a big sort of paradigm shift, and it's I can't wait. There's so many good things happening at the minute, and long may it continue.
Long may it continue. Talking about selling season tickets being announced.
We're getting good at these segues, Mike.
Hey, anyone think we've been doing a podcast for a while? Season tickets been announced. Don't know when we'll be able to get back into games, but it seems to be stream at the very, very least, which seems to be the way to go at the moment. Hopefully the crowds get back in very, very soon, but it's good that they've been a bit forward thinking in terms of streaming of the games that are going to be there, whether it's going to be done outsourced to our league and season tickets get given a code or whether it's the club that does it. We don't know yet, but at least it's another forward planning for that, and hopefully there's a big uptake on that. I know that Crowdy said in the interview that he did with 4020 that it was 90% plus of supporters chose to keep the season ticket money with the club, which is absolutely amazing.
Absolutely.
Part of me thinks that there should be a little bit of reward for those people with the season ticket, got a slight discount. But again, it depends on the finance, depends what we can do. But it's good that, and the video that came with it, the players getting involved with stuff. You hit the nail on the head there, Rick. It's positivity all the way. Seeing all the players getting really, really involved, rather than just being a traditional announcement of season tickets are this, and this. Getting the players on board and that sort of thing. And it's
got the juices going as well, didn't it? A bit,
Yeah. Like I put on social media. Can the season start this weekend? Because I'm buzzing. Season won't be. It could be 6 months before we could get to go to a game.
That's it. It's like season tickets might be out, but we don't know who we're going to play. We don't know where we're going to play them. We don't know when it's going to be. But all we know is the Fax will be back, baby. Definitely,
they will be back, and they will be back in new gear as well. Because we announced that it was Elgin, new boys on the block, but old boys as well. If you want to describe them like that, but
they're sweeping the game.
They are. They look to be very, very good kit. They've already announced that they're partners with Lee Centurions. They made our kit way back in the day, 1991. It's a fan's favourite, is that checkered kit. And the stuff that they're doing looks to be very, very quality. And again, it's just good news, the fact that a name like Elgin and they're starting up and they want to get involved with us is great. And again, I think it's been done to death, the fact that Samurai wasn't exactly the greatest deal in the world and it was done by a previous regime and whatnot, but yeah, blur that out, pixel it out. But yeah, it seems to be a very, very good deal for us, and they look like they're going to help us shift the kit in terms of their online store, which should be an online store and all that sort of jazz. But it's another exciting bit of news, and from going from a couple of months ago where from the outside looking in, it was, there's nothing happening with the last one out of Halifax, turn the lights out and all that sort of stuff. It's typical rugby league in terms of it's quite
cock and cheese, isn't it now? Yeah,
it is very much so, very, very much so. I'm very, very excited about that, and my sources reliably tell me that the kit is very, very good as well in terms of the off-field kit. It's quality stuff. My friend over on the Lee side of things said that he's seen the training kit and the ledger kit and said that it's really good quality stuff. So hopefully it'll be the same for the Fax as well. So yeah.
Yeah, they're synonymous with rugby as well, aren't they? I think there's sort of more in it to provide the service rather than just to make the profits, which is always good. So I can't wait to see what they've got. You mentioned the old 90s shirt. I think we should get a replica of that, because they've done a few, like I think I saw a Leeds one from the sort of 90s that has been redone, and a couple of other clubs have had theirs done. So I'd expect maybe something like that later in the season. But I mean, we're getting pretty close to when we should start to see it all now. You know, traditionally it's released before Christmas, isn't it? And within a couple of weeks, all the answers will be on the table, and we know where we are. And all that's left to do then is buy a season ticket and count down to the game starting. Then,
yeah, as I say, we are going to be in the Championship again. We're not going to be in Super League, but it's where we are. We just got to focus on what we can, control the controllables, get ourselves in. But again, I'm proper excited by what's happening, and
we'll just have to finish top, won't we?
Yeah, exactly. To finish top, good old promotion relegation, get that sorted there, and hopefully we'll be up that other end. So yeah, that's all things Fax really. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
I would quite like to talk about the women's team, and I think we've got a perfect guest coming up that will allow us to do that, Michael.
We have. So we will have a quick break, wet our whistle, and then we will talk all things Halifax Women's, and then a few other stuff as well. But join us on the other side. Hello, welcome to the second part of Talking Facts of Life, proudly sponsored by Clips Energy. My name is Mike Hagan, always is Rick Farrell as in the second part. We have a special guest, as you can see if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, or as you're about to hear now, in terms of the voice, is Kara Colvin from the Halifax ladies team.
Hi.
Hello, Kara. Thanks for coming on. We've got you on because it's a weird time, because obviously there's no Halifax team that are playing in terms of the men's side of things, but Halifax ladies team are playing, albeit tag. I'm a big advocate of that game. How's it all going? You're training as well, aren't you?
Yeah, we've been training. Obviously not now, but we have been training. We started back quite a while back now with social distance training. That was more for the games, the tag games, which we've been playing a tournament on a Saturday on a weekend, which is going really, really well. I know it's not full contact, it's not what the girls want, but I think that tag, it ups your game, it helps you skills-wise, so ball passing, looking for spaces, not faces. It's a hard game for a forward, I'm not going to lie, just because we're quite used to just bulldozing our way over. And there's a lot of rules that are different, but yeah, it's been good. Been good to get back out there, pull the shirt back on again. It's been great.
How does socially distant training work? Because obviously we all know what social distance kind of shopping and stuff like that work, but rugby social distance thing just seems a bit weird.
It is. It's a very eerie sense. I've been playing rugby a lot of years now, and it's been very odd to not go and want to just because as you do, there's a bit of camaraderie and you smash into each other and you'll shoulder badge and you'll do this, that and the third thing. We've all been keeping our distance unless we're in the same household. So there's a couple of people on the team who are in the same household, which has meant that I can push them over, like me and my partner. That's been great. Otherwise, we've been working a lot on unopposed attacking and things like that, just because that's the only thing we really can realistically work on.
I feel sorry if you're a back, who lives with a forward. The only one that could smash you in training for a couple of months is a big forward. That's
what I mean. See, it's like Clash at Titans in our house. Stacey and I both play prop, so we did used to play opposite. Obviously now play alongside each other, and it does get a bit rough. It starts off a bit amicable, but then we've got points to prove, so then we just start smashing levels out of each other.
Save it for the opposition, I say.
We're too bored. We can't save it.
Yeah, I used to play tag back in the day as well, and I completely agree with the fact that I think it's underrated as a form of rugby. It makes you focus on your core skills of, you say, catching, passing, drawing the man and passing, and stuff like that. I think it's a great thing to have. You've been on the Halifax team since the very beginning. I had Sarah Kennedy on the radio show way back when it first started. How's it been since it started? Because obviously you'll all come from your local club teams and so to speak. How does it feel kind of representing a traditional kind of rugby club like Halifax?
It is the best feeling in the world. It's like a little snowball that's just gone on and on and on and on and on. And the platform that we've got is amazing. I've been following Halifax since I was about 3 or 4 years old. I got into rugby at about 8 and started playing for my first girls team at 12. At the time, that was Halifax Blue Sox Girls. By the time I moved up to open age, there wasn't a ladies team anymore. So just because it had disbanded, that was it. We'd moved I went to play for Brighouse, and I played there ever since. And as soon as I knew that Halifax ladies was starting a team, Halifax Women, that's where I wanted to be. It's been my dream. It's been the thing that I've wanted to do since I was a little kid. Never thought I'd see the day where I played at the Shea. Never thought I'd see the day where I scored at the Shea. Never thought I'd see the day where kids look up to me and recognise me as a Halifax player. And to me, aside being a mum, that's the greatest feeling in the world.
That's ace. That used to say I'm rather jealous of the fact both me and Rick would have given our left arm to play.
I've not given up the dream yet. One day.
I used to play for Halifax tag team. That's as close as I got anyway. But that's another story for another day.
Wrestling.
Yeah. See. But yeah, it's. What's the atmosphere like with the lasses that you play with? Because obviously there's going to be a lot of different ages, backgrounds, that sort of thing. There, are you all fairly local, or do a few of the lasses come from miles around?
We're all fairly local. We've got a couple who travel, which is fantastic. The gist of the team is, and I like to keep it this way, and I know obviously it's not all down to me, but for me, because I enjoy rugby, I don't get paid for it. I play it for the pure enjoyment, and I like to keep it fun. Yeah, it is nice when you win a game, but it's also great to have 20 girls that you can call your friend, so on and off the pitch. So whatever we keep on the pitch, so the loyalty, having each other's backs, the fun, the laughs, the big smiles, we like to take that off the pitch as well. So when we've not been able to train, we've been doing Zoom quizzes, which, keeps everybody all interactive and stuff. It helps great, with people's mental health and people not being able to socialise and stuff outside of rugby. When rugby's taken away, it's quite hard for the girls. So we're trying to keep it all together. We're like a little family. And, hashtag Fax Family, it's not just a hashtag, is it? It's what we are.
Amen.
Yeah. Definitely amen to that, and it's great. We all miss our rugby, and it's great to kind of see that you're all in it together as well, and it's great that you're finally coming back together to kind of train and that. I might be overstepping the mark here. Do you know, like the men's team? Do you know what the structure is going to be like next year? Do you know when you're actually going to be able to play proper games, the league set up, that sort of thing?
Not for definite. I don't know for definite. I do know that there was talk of starting the lower leagues from April onwards for women's leagues, which would have been what it was anyway. With regards to lockdown and the pandemic that's going on, nobody can say, with regards to friendlies and things like that in the coming months. But I do know that they are hoping to start in April. But we'll just have to see how it filters out. It's just one of them. It's completely out of our control, unfortunately. We'll just have to go with the flow.
You're planning pre-season. Where do you do your training mainly? Where do you call your training base?
So our training ground is Brighouse Sports Club. It's a fantastic facility. I've been training there since I was 16, and I'm 33 now. So I've been there a lot of years. It's a fantastic place. It's mainstream to a lot of the girls who come. It's only a 10-minute drive away, but that's where we train from. So,
well, it was so good that it picked up the attention of the team of the shirt that Max got on at the minute when they first started. I think they played their first ever training game down there, didn't they, against Halifax?
They did. I remember actually we was getting ready for our annual bonfire that we have at the club, and I was in the kitchen making Brian Noble a cup of tea. Which one, it's Brian Noble. I shouldn't really make him a cup of tea because he's very, very known for being a bad person. And two, everyone was quite shocked that I actually made him a cup of tea, because that's another thing that I don't do.
No, that's it. You can rub shoulders with people like that. Obviously, me and Rick have been talking quite a lot about the World Cup that's happening next year. One of the big pluses is the Women's World Cup runs alongside it. How are your thoughts about that? As I say, obviously we all want to play in the World Cup. Do you see any of your teammates as possible England, Ireland, Scotland players, whatever?
I would love to see some of my teammates go forward and take their game where they want it to be. I can see them playing for him. We've got a lot of talent on the team, which is good to see. There's a lot of talent in rugby league, full stop. For me, I'm at the older end, so I'm not really that bothered about it now. But the younger ones, it's nice to see the determination in them. But it's great to know that we have got a Women's World Cup. It's accessible for all as well. The tickets are quite cheap, so we can get spectators, and it's not just going to be like a Sunday morning game. It's going to be quite a big thing, which is excellent for girls and women.
And the finals are double-header as well, isn't it? So the young lads who are playing now, they could walk out of Old Trafford in a World Cup final for England, possibly.
Like you can even and you can actually get a ticket for like a tenner, I'm sure. So you can get a £10 ticket. So imagine a young lass from Halifax walking out England shirt, double header, Old Trafford. It's just fantastic. It is really good for the women's game.
Speaking of things that are good for women's sport in general, I don't know if you've heard the rumours that Sky sort of putting together an idea of having a women's sports dedicated channel. Could you see Rugby League taking a spot on there, and would you love to see Fax get to the Women's Super League and be able to play on Sky TV? Because I remember the women actually got on TV during the launch of the Tour de Yorkshire, didn't they? When they had the bike race launch from the Peace Hall, and as they were scanning over, the ladies, the women's team were playing at the Shea, weren't they? So you actually got your national media attention there.
I've got a clip of that actually because it was a really good day. That was one of our first games. It was actually against my partner's team at Old Team, Hull Kingston Rovers Women. We won, and then we turned up on ITV, which was just brilliant. So yeah, it'd be nice to be on Super League. It'd be nice to be in Super League. Nice to be on the telly. You know, a Halifax girl. I'd love to see both the men's and women's team in Super League. Dreams might come true.
Yeah. No, I watched the women's grand final last year on Sky, and it was brilliant. I think it was Leeds and Castleford. It was. And some of the skill and some of the play, and I don't mean to be patronising at all. It's just great rugby league. Don't matter what gender's playing it at all. The skill level. Some of the outside looking, they think, oh, women's rugby don't like getting stuck in, or they don't have the skill set that the men do. But some of the players, the likes of the Leeds team have got Caitlin Beavers and that sort of thing, and the Cass team have got Georgia Roach and Kelsey Gentle, those sort of players there. They're brilliant rugby players, full stop. So I think it would work in that respect.
Yeah, it'd be great to see. I mean, I've played against Kelsey when she was just, a young kid, first in open age, and you could tell from quite an early age that she was going to be something. And going from that to watching her making a try-scoring tackle, I think it was one of the top tackles on a lot of rugby league social media.
For England.
Yeah, for England, that is just phenomenal. When I was her age, that wouldn't have been thought of, but now it's just it's just on the up, it's on the rise, and it's not going to stop.
Speaking of things on the rise, I want to put you on the spot here. Are there any names to watch out for as the rising stars that are going to be stars of the future in the Halifax team?
Oh, you have put me on the spot there. We've got a brilliant player called Casey. She's got excellent footwork. She's got the speed. She's got the stamina. Great in defence. She'd be one to watch. I like it when we have, a little bit of touch and pass at the end of training, and she's on my team rather than against me. Because
what position is she?
She normally plays centre. She's filled in at full back as well. She's quite an all rounder. I think she's one of the Wibsey juniors who's come through, and she's been at training with us. And she's a really, really good player. So I'd say she would be one to watch.
Wonderful.
There you go. I'm sure that her check's in the post. But no, the one thing that, as we kind of wrap up the Halifax women's team, the one thing that I've always wanted to see is a double header with the women's and the men's team. Is the last year or so, it's been really frustrating, the fact that the women's games, it's great that you've got that base down at Brighouse Sports Centre, but they've always been at the same time as the men's game, and it would be fantastic to have a double header of the women's as a kind of a curtain raiser to the men's game, and just because more eyes would get on it and you can build a little bit more of a following. I'd definitely turn up early for it, because as I say,
we were talking about this the other day, because it doesn't always necessarily have to be before the game. There's nothing to say there's benefits of playing after the men, because when everyone's already there, especially after, say, the men's team win and there's another game starting, you see it a lot of times at the Super League grounds. I've spoken to people that say they will, because they'll have the pint in the bar afterwards. So if there's another game on, they're going to stay, they're going to watch it, rather than people have their routines before a 3 o'clock game. Or even better still, obviously a different day, but it's down to logistics and everything like that. But I would like to see it sort of experimented with and tested to see how it would work. But definitely, I'd like to see more joined up thinking. I think it will happen. But it'd be great, Mike. I agree with you totally. Double headers.
What do you reckon, Kara, then? Are you bothered about being before the men, after the men, or just being on that hollow turf?
Just being on that turf does it for me, to be honest. I'd even just go on mini pitch at half time, like kids used to do with a few cones out, to be honest. I would love to have more games down at the Shea. I'd love for us to be like a curtain raiser for the lads. That'd be it. That'd be great. That'd be ace. Even afterwards, like you say, because people will stay around. We've been at games before, representing Halifax Women, like in the fax zone, you know, the fan zone at the front and stuff like that. And there's a lot of the fans of the men who then said, you know, we've seen you playing this, that and the other. And that's lovely to hear. It's lovely to see, you know, getting recognised for playing. So I would love to have more games down there. We'll just have to see what the powers that be say.
I'm sure some of the powers that be listen to this podcast, so nudge, nudge, wink, wink, Dave Grayson, et al.
You just need to listen to me, you see.
You mentioned that you've played the game for a long time, and your playing days may well be not necessarily really short, but you're in the kind of the twilight of your playing career. You've taken steps.
Hang on, let me just tick that cliche off the list. Yeah, right, sweet.
Cliche bingo, shall we? Oh dear, I am Alan Partridge, and what can I say? The Yorkshire Alan Partridge. You do coaching down at Boothtown as well, a club that we've had radio podcast before. How was that going? Do you want to describe what you do down there?
I am head coach of the girls section. It's going really well. Sam and Paul approached me after we did a presentation night there, giving out trophies, and asked if I'd like to coach a girls team down there, and I said it would be brilliant. Long story short, I have a little girl who's always wanted to play rugby, and I've always said no. And then this way would mean that she would get to play, but I would get to make sure that she was playing what I deem correctly. You know, she's playing to my standards rather than her coming home to me and saying, "Oh, we got taught this," and I'm like that. No, you don't do it like that. You do it like this. There was a little girl at Boothtown when we went to the presentation night who said that when she was older, she wanted to take my number 10 shirt at Halifax. Obviously, I did get very defensive. You know, 10-year-old or not, I did say to her, "I've got a lot of years left in me."
10 shirt now.
Yeah, I said, "I've got a lot of years left in me, kid, so you're going to have to be really good when you get to 16. You know, I seen her and I seen myself looking at Lisa McIntosh all them years ago. That's what I aspired to be. And like you say, I'm not getting any younger. I'm 33 now. I've been playing for over 20 years. You know, it's a bit harder to get up in the morning after a game. So my idea is that I would, you know, play the next few seasons and play my heart out and show the town what I'm really made of, and then settle back into coaching and take the younger generation into the place where I feel that it is just an amazing place to be, and that's in the hub of rugby league."
Amen to that.
Doing
Doing a lot of praying today. It's fantastic.
I know, it's a gospel channel.
It's a Saturday as well. God knows what if you've done this podcast on a Sunday. Well, you might listen to this on a Sunday. You never know. You don't know what day is in podcast world.
An internet one.
Yeah. What kind of numbers do you get down there, Kara?
We do get quite a lot of numbers. They're all various ages, so between 12 and well, my little girl's 9, so between 9 and I'd say our oldest is about 14. We do get quite a lot of numbers down there, which is good, and they're enthusiastic. It's nice to see people train who don't have a fear. A lot of the time in women's rugby, they've picked up an injury or they've had a bad tackle or, you know, something's happened, and it can spark a fear in them, so they don't train as hard. You know, they don't play as hard because there is that fear. Children have got no sense and no fear. They'll run at anything and they'll do anything, and that is just brilliant. So we do have the numbers down there. I'd like to see a few more down there. So if there is any girls out there who are local to us and don't already have a team, just pop down, see what we're about. You know, I'm an all right coach. I'm not too bad.
You want to give us your socials?
It's all done through Boothtown Terriers Rugby League Facebook page, so you can message us on there. Anything to do with girls will get passed on, but there are also boys teams as well. So if you message the page, you know, we can get back to you about training times and things like that.
Is training still going on at the moment then? With well, obviously not right now, but as it been going on?
It was going on. So it was going on right up until the Sunday before lockdown. And then I had a group of very disappointed girls who knew that they couldn't train the following week, which was you know, I'm not one for tears, but it did make me well up a little bit because I did feel a bit sorry for them. But yeah, we was training right up until then, and it has been good. We've been, you know, getting numbers every week, and we've had more. And you know, some weeks we've not had so many, but then other weeks we've had loads, and then we didn't know really where they'd all come from. But I'm down there. Stacey comes down to help me out, and it's just a laugh, isn't it? It's a great gateway into teams and such, isn't it?
It certainly is. You've mentioned her a few times now, and we'd be remiss not to have you on the show without mentioning the viral sensation of lockdown, of the FaxCam that you have for the women's team, the interviews that you do. But then the last interview was an interview with a twist.
It was, yes. So obviously, yeah, like you say, I do FaxCam, and it's normally an interview with one of our players after training. It's a bit of a laugh, and you know, it was just something for me to do because I was that bored with no work and stuff like that. So I made myself a banner, made myself a microphone, and thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. So we planned it between myself and my best friend and 2 teammates, and we planned that I'd interview Stacey. When you get interviewed, you get 3 questions that are rugby related, and then you get a bonus question. So I told Stacey she was getting interviewed and to prepare herself, and we'd gone through the questions because she thought that she might mess up. And then I said to her, right, your bonus question is going to be, is it a tea cake or a bread cake? Because obviously she's from Hull. Obviously, I didn't ask her what it was. I asked her to marry me, and she said yes, rather than tea cake.
That is ace. Well, massive congratulations from myself
Thank
and Rick
you.
there.
Amen.
And you see you're subtly sitting with that diamond on display as well.
I'm actually just hiding my double chin, Mike. I'm going to be honest. It's not because of the ring.
Hey, I've got my double chin as well. Don't you worry. It's absolutely fine. Yeah, I've got no diamond ring to hide mine anyway. So
Yeah, that's right there.
Genuinely amazing. As I say, we're going through an awful time at the moment through sites, and anything that puts smiles on our faces is very welcome. But to see that was just absolutely brilliant. And was it a complete surprise to her? Did she have no idea at all that sort of thing?
She did not have a clue. So we've had quite a tough year. I lost my dad to terminal cancer in August, and Stacey's been quite a rock all the way through, like lockdown and things. So it's been quite a tough time as a little family, but we've obviously all got through it together. And then in October, she took me away for my birthday, which was in June, but obviously we couldn't go. And she thought I was going to ask her then, as did everyone else. They was like, oh, I hope they're going away for the weekend. And she was really excited. And then on the Saturday night, we'd had a few champagnes, and I said to her, I'm not going to propose to you, you need to chill out a little bit. And she did look a little bit sad. So then obviously when I did do it, it was completely out of the blue. She had no idea, and it was better that way rather than her suspecting.
Yeah, who wants to do it in a nice lodge in front of a fire with a champagne? Do it in your muddy rugby boots outside at training pitch.
Oh, basically, yeah, that's how we met. We met down at the Shea, so why not?
Who says romance is dead, eh?
Have you set a date?
We've not set a date, no. And Stacey's ring didn't even fit, to be fair. I bought the wrong size, but I'll sort it out. But no, we've not set a date yet. But we'll just have to see what dates the Shea have got for a function, and we'll go from there.
Good stuff. Well, all the luck and love in the world to you both in that respect there. I'm sure you'll have a wonderful, wonderful time and a wonderful life together. That wraps up the kind of the women's game side of things. There has been other things that have been happening in Rugby League, which I'm sure you'll know about, Kara. And one of those things is Leeds being knocked out of the playoffs, unfortunately. At the first go, Rick, try not to hide your smile too much. Kara is a Leeds fan for her sins, even though she's an Halifax lass. But yeah, we've had a few good playoff games, and it's been as a result of Wigan and Saints in the grand final. I think the 2 best teams in the competition myself. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a weird choice of venue to have it over in Hull and all the logistics that go with it. But hey ho, what have you thought of the season? Are you slightly disappointed, Kara, that Leeds couldn't build upon the Challenge Cup victory, or was it a kind of it was completely unexpected that you won the cup final and you'll take your lot in that respect? No,
I expected big things from Leeds this season. I just think because we've got a lot of young kids out there, I think that they did have quite a good side and could have potentially have got to the grand final. I just think that the spark kind of went halfway through. I don't know if it's because there was players in and out of training, or players not being able to play due to positive COVID tests and this, that, and the third thing. But I do think that they did have it there, but I just think at the last little push they just kind of lost out there. I watched them in the playoffs, and it was just ridiculous. It's like a team I've never really seen before. But best of luck to Saints and Wigan. I'd rather it was them two than Hull FC or Catalan. Mainly, I can't support FC because my partner's a Rovers fan. Yeah, she's a Dobby Robin. And I didn't really want Catalan to be in the grand final, if I'm honest with you. You know, I'm a creature of habit. I like it to be somebody on M62.
Oh, well, that's another argument for another day, that is. But yeah, on balance, I think Wigan and Saints have beaten best teams, and you can't beat a Wigan Saints derby, especially when there's a trophy on the line there. What did you think, Rick? What were your thoughts on the?
I think Wigan definitely deserve to be there. They've had two contenders for Man of Steel, arguably with French and Farrell, who've been fantastic all year. And yeah, I don't think you can argue. You look at the two semi-final results. They're both pretty comprehensive victories, aren't they? You know, there's no, even though a few had something to say about referees and whatnot. I won't get into that, but I think you're spot on. I think the two best teams are there, and I think it's set up to be a really strange final. Obviously, it's not at Old Trafford, and there won't be any fans in and that. But there's two teams there that bragging rights mean miles more than a Super League trophy do, and even more so when that's on the line. So I think it'll be. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it immensely.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's enough local lads in both teams to know how important it is to beat the other team, really. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Friday night, you know, seems a bit of a weird one, but hopefully they'll get really good viewing figures for it, because obviously football season's going on at the moment. There's international rugby union and the like. Friday night is a bit of a it's a rugby league night anyway, traditionally at the moment now, and as I say, they're ramping up the publicity for it, and hopefully it gets the viewing figures that it deserves, really. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Anyone want to stick their neck out and predict a winner?
I think Wigan. I do. I think Wigan's going to take it. But that's just me. I just think they've got Zakade, can't they, and stuff like that. And I just think that Saints have got the players there, but I just feel that Wigan want it that little bit more. They've shown, you know, they've been throughout the competition. They have been, you know, the most consistent. They've been brilliant. So I'm unfortunately saying Wigan.
Rick,
I'll times two that. I think it's obviously been a long season for them, and they had a lot of time off. But I think the extra day's rest off the back of the playoffs might not seem a lot, but when there's two teams that are that evenly matched together and want it that much, I think just that extra day's worth of juice will get them over the line. So if it goes as you expect it to go, I think Wigan win by maybe even just one penalty or something like that. I think it's going to be really.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to win, but my prediction is that it's going to go at Golden Point. I think it'll be the first one that goes to Golden Point, because there's match winners on both sides. There's electric players. You've got French and Hastings for Wigan. You've got the likes of Lomax and Nagama, Regan Grace, Lachlan Coof, Saints. There's all sorts of stuff. If I'm going to plump for one, I'd plump for Saints because of Richard Marshall. But it's anyone's. It's absolutely anyone's.
It's got a lot more. Sorry, Mike. It's got a lot more incentive as well, because it's the last career games for a few really legendary Super League players who retire afterwards as well. So, you know, no one will want to let. I think all Lachlan retires, and James Graham and James Roby. So, you know, I just hope it's a classic. I just hope it's a classic. And Sky have done a really good job with the sort of like the artificial crowd noise and stuff, and I think they'll do another good job. But I can't wait. Me love a grand final.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I can't wait either. Another kind of final that happened, decided the state of origin. Queenslander wrapped up the series 2-1 in front of a full Suncorp Stadium. How good is it to see a rugby match with a full crowd? And Australian crowds get knocked a bit for not having the right atmosphere, but it were an amazing atmosphere for that game. I'm overjoyed that Queensland won. Rick is desolate that the Blues lost. Kara, who's your team in that, or do you not have any preference?
I don't have any preference, but I didn't watch the men's, if I'm honest. I watched the women's one, and I do think it could have gone on for 80 minutes rather than just 70. It'd have been a completely different score, to be honest. I think in the first half, New South Wales was winning. Obviously, Queensland did win, but I think if it had the extra 10 minutes, then it'd have been a different colour winning. If I'm honest, that's just me.
That was game one, right? I think.
Yeah, that was but that's the only one that that's the only one I've watched, to be fair, because I don't have a preference.
No, I must admit I've only watched the men's ones, but again, we're mentioning about the women's game, the getting exposure, the women's state of origin. I've never seen it be on TV before, or the hype that it's had for this year. It's fantastic that they are getting it, and obviously Australia are one of the favourites for the World Cup. There, they've got really, really good players going down there. It just bodes well. Me and Rick have said it countless times in podcasts that next year's World Cup is it's so important for the game of rugby league in general, regardless of men's, women, or wheelchair. And it's great that the different versions of the game are getting the exposure that they deserve. Speaking of important news as well, there have been the Super League applications, the application process. Let's cut to the chase. Halifax pulled out because we don't get enough crowds and blah, blah. It's just going back to licensing again, that sort of thing. But and in the last 24 hours, Widnes have pulled out as well. But I don't think they're ever going to be front runners for it. I'm trying to hold my tongue a little bit because it's kind of a family podcast and that sort of thing. But a lot of people like conspiracy theories, and it could well happen in terms of the fact that a certain club over the hill, which we won't mention, are being tailor-made for a return there. Personally, I think it should be Toulouse. I mentioned it last time. You've got rid of one expansion team in Toronto. There should be another one to build the game. What use is it for Bradford? But hey ho, that's just my opinion. Kara, do you have any thoughts regarding that?
I think it's Lee.
Wow, okay.
Just because they're getting some good players in, aren't they? And I don't know if they know something that we don't. I always get a bit cagey when I see that teams are buying decent players in. So I always wonder what's going on. Like I said it about Huddersfield Giants have got quite a good few signings end of this season. Lee have got some good signings, and even Rovers have got some good signings. So I don't know who their new director is, but he must have a pretty penny. So I think it's going to be Lee moving up to Super League.
Definitely. Say for a procedure that is supposed to be clear and transparent, I've never known a more cloak and dagger operation. The fact that what's going on is ridiculous, but it's such an important year as well because at the end of the TV deal, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, you need to get in Super League before the door closes" and that sort of thing. And I've been talking about OKR. They've signed Ryan Hall, which is a massive signing. He's been so unlucky in the NRL, but he's still a class player. And hopefully he still recovers that form. But obviously, you're good with that being a.
I am absolutely devastated. I'm not going to lie. That one hurt the most.
But no, it's exciting times. But as I say, if it goes the way of Bradford, it's going to be a civil war. I know, but yeah, Rick, what are your thoughts?
Too much rage to give an opinion on this one, so I'm going to wait till all the facts come out.
Yes, no, for sure. And yeah, I think that's everything, isn't it? I think that's all what's going on. Yeah, so anyway, the time's beating us. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. Thank you very much, Kara, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully, we'll see the ladies' team in action in the not-too-distant future. Keep on with the FaxCam stuff. It's really, really good. See stuff like that. Thank you again, Rick, for Tech Guru. And we might be having another live show. We're going to try another live show. Don't know how it's going to work, but because I've got my laptop working and stuff, even though it's the most ancient thing ever, we're going to try different stuff. We'll podcast for change. Keep your eyes and ears peeled on that. I've been Mike Haig. He's been Rick Farrell. She's been Kara Colvin. And thank you very much for listening. And as always, up the facts.